Hello everybody, it's
Hi.
4 o'clock.
And that means it's time for tea.
It does indeed.
And Royal Doulton cups today, posh china,
Indeed.
because tea's looking a little bit weak, I have to say. But
Stop complaining.
okay, stop complaining. We are live. The tea looks absolutely perfect, I'd say. And nice to have you joining us. If you are joining us, hi Timberline family and anybody else who happens to be joining us as well. This is Afternoon Tea with Jeff and Kay, where we are going to share some stunningly scintillating facts about cake.
We are.
What have we got today then?
So, for our treat today, we are going to have Victoria sponge cake.
Hi Anita, nice to have you here, and hi Cindy. Yeah, Victoria sponge cake. Now, this is considered to be quintessentially what you should have with afternoon tea, isn't it?
It is. It's very popular to have with afternoon tea. It's 2 sponges, and in the middle you'll find some lovely jam and cream. And so the cream and the jam are sandwiched between the 2 sponges, and it's called Victoria sponge cake.
Now, there's a bit of history here. It goes back to a lady in waiting who attended Queen Victoria.
Indeed. So a duchess, her name was Anna, so she in fact is credited with creating afternoon tea time.
Why did she do that then?
Well, back in her day, they had lunch at noontime, and it was a very light lunch. And so by about 4 o'clock-ish in the afternoon, she was getting hungry. And dinner was served late in the evening. So what she did, she asked her servants to sneak in a pot of tea and some cakes to her dressing room. And so she would have that little tea to keep her going. Then she came up with an idea she'd invite some of her lady friends over. So during one summer, she invited friends over for tea, and they loved having afternoon tea with the pot of tea and some cake. And when she returned to London, the story we're told is that she invited more friends for afternoon tea.
And then Queen Victoria picked up the whole idea.
And she picked up the whole idea. And of course, once Queen Victoria started having afternoon tea, then everybody started to have afternoon tea. And one of Queen Victoria's favourite cakes was this sponge cake.
Dave Goldfein says sponge cake. Dave, it's Victoria sponge cake, please.
Well,
please.
The name Victoria came about because Queen Victoria's husband, that's Prince Albert, who died in 1861, we're told that she went to a house in the Isle of Wight.
Which is a little island on the south coast,
off the south coast of England,
yeah.
yes. And it's called Osborne House. She went there after he died, and she was having her afternoon tea, pot of tea in china pot, no doubt, and her favourite cake, the sponge cake. And we're told by historians that they decided to name the sponge cake Victoria sponge cake after Queen Victoria.
Stunning.
Indeed.
It's a bit of intrigue, bit of scandal, because this lady in waiting, Anna, apparently she got involved with a scandal involving someone called Lady Flora Hastings, who you're probably wondering about the Hastings cake that was named after her. Actually, I made that up. There isn't one. But anyway, Lady Flora Hastings complained of abdominal pains, and the royal physician, or the court physician, which is the royal physician, examined her and initially suggested it might be pregnant because she was not married, and in that society, that was a huge scandal. Anyway,
so they tried to cover up that suspicion. They
yeah,
didn't
they
want
did.
that to be known.
Exactly. And then, as a result of that, Lady Anna, Victoria Sponge afternoon tea lady, she didn't like this woman, and she circulated rumours. And really, as it turned out, this poor lady had cancer, and she wasn't pregnant, but her reputation was ruined in Victorian society because of this. Hi Kelly, nice to have you with us, and Cindy. So Victoria Sponge, afternoon tea, gossip and scandal.
Intrigue. That reminds me, Jeff, of a sermon you once gave about gossip. And I remember you said one sentence and it made the whole congregation want to hide under their chairs. Do you remember what that was?
Yeah, I announced at the beginning of the sermon that I was going to expose an unruly member in the congregation, that there'd been a lot of trouble caused by this member. And now I was going to call them out. And everybody froze, thinking for some reason that I was going to name them, which is really interesting. And then I said the name of this member, which has caused so much in way of grief and pain, was the tongue, which the Bible says in the Old King James Version is an unruly member. So anyway, gossip, gossip can be delicious. Gossip can make us feel like we're in control. We can feel better about ourselves when we ruin the reputation of somebody else. Don't do it, because it's a bad idea. Now, also this afternoon tea thing, it speaks a bit of fashion, doesn't it? Because Queen Victoria did it, because Lady Anna did it, suddenly, like a bunch of lemmings, everybody started to do this. And thinking about fashions, how we tend to follow the trend. Yesterday we celebrated a special anniversary, didn't we?
Yes, it was our 42nd wedding anniversary.
17 minutes late you were.
Oh, maybe 15.
16 minutes late.
13.
You were late. I'm over it. I don't even know why I mention it again, really.
I don't know why you keep mentioning it, Jeff.
But 42 years talking about fashion. Here is us on our wedding day. Take a look at that. So there's Kate, and there's me. And people look at this picture and they say to Kate, why? And that chap, I've got my hand on his shoulder, that's my dear old dad there. And look at that. I've got a tie that is almost as big as my head, which is just incredible when you think about it. But the point being that was the fashion of the day. And Lady Anna started eating cake at 4 o'clock. Queen Victoria picked it up.
She did.
And then
here we are. It's 4 o'clock having tea time.
And actually, this is a good trend that we're following. But because everybody's doing it, saying it, acting in a particular way, that doesn't make it right, does it? And our tendency to follow the crowd, we need to check that, because actually, to a far more serious point, that as followers of Jesus, we are called to be non-conformists, not to be different for the sake of being different, but where we are challenged to conformity, which is unhelpful and contradictory to what we believe, then there are going to be times when we need to take a stand. So there you go. So we've now got 31 watching live. A few nice people saying happy anniversary, which is very nice and kind, which we're grateful for. Fiona was looking forward to hearing. Can we have a bit of Victoria Sponge, do you think, darling?
Yes, why don't we?
That would be good. And Cindy says the cake looks delicious. And
slice it so you can see what it looks like.
Yeah. So tell us where you're joining us from today. And Liz says, "Hey, you might have been late, but she's still with me. She's still with you, with me." Yeah, you're absolutely right, Liz. I mean, you make that sound like there's some massive surprise in that. And of course, I suppose in a way, you know me well enough to know that that's probably quite true. That does look really, really delicious.
So, if I can show you this, you can see we have the 2 sponge layers, and in the middle there is the cream and jam, hence the name Victoria Sandwich.
Yeah,
Old Colorado.
We're joined by Anita. And Cindy's in Fort Collins. Charlie, good to have you with us as well. Stacey in Fort Collins. And hi to Paul as well. And we continue to be really busy here, fulfilling responsibilities, obviously, at Timberline. Loads of Zoom calls. I'm preaching this weekend and the following weekend as well. So lots of filming
What's
going
the
on.
topic this weekend, Jeff?
The topic this weekend is outrageous grace. It's about when the search committee, if you will, for the church in Antioch decided to appoint a pastor for Barnabas, and they decided to welcome among them the man who was partially responsible for them being refugees in the first place, which is truly outrageous grace. So that's what we're talking about.
And I think, if I remember rightly, we filmed this one in a different setting this week.
Yeah, well, I ate my cake. Why don't you describe that?
So we went to a local little Anglican church that has just reopened for personal prayer, and we got permission from Father Peter to film this week's message inside that church building. So do check it out, and it's a lovely little church.
Yeah, 900-year-old church, and it's just amazing to go in there. You just sense the atmosphere of the fact that this was a place where people worship the Lord for 900 years. Karen says, how many of us will want to see more of England with Jeff and Kay when we can travel again? And we would love that to happen. We are going to be doing our UK and Israel tours just as soon as we're able to travel again, and we're going to be talking about that. Dave says, what church? And it's the church in Bury in Sussex. Good morning, Sandra.
And it's called St. John the Evangelist.
Yeah, named after the Apostle John, who himself had been a bit of a firebrand, wanting to nuke a Samaritan village. Jesus told him off about that, and he was transformed into being someone really renowned for his love and kindness. So looking forward to preaching from there directly back to Timberline this weekend. Well, thanks everybody for joining us. Stacey says she's really looking forward to seeing that church, and we were excited about it, and it was an amazing experience to be able to share, if you will, from the pulpit of that place back to our Timberline family. We also did our one of our Jeff and Ori's from there, didn't we? Did we do that? Yeah, we did.
Was it afternoon tea last week, wasn't it?
That
We
was
had to
afternoon.
film it. We had to just film it and put it up online. We couldn't actually interact with anybody.
Yeah, that's right. We had to film it in advance, is where I got a little bit confused there, because Kayla was just saying it was a beautiful church, and indeed, so there's been a preview there.
There has been a preview
of
if
the
you
place.
watched us last week. Yes, indeed.
So Anita Kay, it's a very nice middle name she has there, says, we love and miss you. We love and miss you all too, but through the joy of technology, we're able to do that, and we're really grateful, and we'll see you next time. Lots of love from us both.
Indeed. Now for some Victoria sponge cake.
See you later. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.